走り出せ走り出せ空高く波動と差し
Hi guys, this is Wasabifold here with another One Piece video for you, and today I'm going to be discussing my matchup for Chopper in the Blackbeard Pirate crew. And as you can tell by the thumbnail, it's going to be Chopper versus San Juan Wolf. Unlike the other two videos that I first did in the series, Sanji versus Burgess and Laphita versus Brook, in this video I'm not going to be spending too much time theorizing about what abilities San Juan Wolf will have in the end of the series. I think we know what abilities he's going to have. He's going to be the biggest giant in the world. He's going to be big, he's going to be strong. I don't even expect him to have haki, honestly, because I don't think he needs it. Just the size and thickness of his skin, muscles, bones is probably going to be enough defense against any kind of attack that he's going to be facing, and I don't think there's any reason to power him up even more. Probably just a stamp from this guy could probably sink an island. So, you know, in my opinion, he's very obvious what he's going to be like. So there's no reason to spend a lot of time discussing him. In fact, I think where I need to spend my time in this video is telling you guys why I think Chopper will be on his level by the end of this series, and what I think is foreshadowing that, or where Oda is taking the development right now. But before I begin on either of them, I want to just take the time to address some of the other matchups that people have suggested, and my thoughts on them and my stance on them. First of all, there's the Frankie and the Thousand Sunny matchup. Some people like to say because his name is Colossal Battleship that Frankie will merge with the Thousand Sunny in some kind of Shogun thing and they'll be able to fight San Juan Wolf. And you know, my question to those people is, how big do you think the Thousand Sunny really is? Because San Juan Wolf dwarfed Marineford, and Marineford, the building, dwarfed the giant squad that they had, and that giant squad dwarfed the battleships on that field, and then those battleships dwarfed the Thousand Sunny. As far as scale is concerned, like, that doesn't even make a lot of sense. Even if he was merged with the Thousand Sunny, Frankie would be like, what, 5 stories tall at maximum, in my opinion. It would be kind of crazy, especially when you consider, you know, what the Thousand Sunny it has in it. There's an aquarium in there, there's a kitchen in there, there's utensils, there's chairs, there's the orange tree. There's a lot of important personal stuff to the crew there. So I don't actually think we're ever gonna see Frankie pull a combination with the Thousand Sunny. It seems impractical, but even more to that, it doesn't seem like it would be big enough to face San Juan Wolf. When you just think about the degrees of scale difference between the two, it would be next to impossible to draw these two characters interacting in the same panel, and I think that's going to be the main problem with San Juan Wolf, finding a character that can interact with him in the same panel while fighting. That's the same reason why I don't think Jinbei is going to be in it, because Jinbei he's tall, but 12 feet, 14 feet, I can't remember his actual height, but he's one of the shortest of the super tall Shichibukais. Even I don't see how that would be feasible. I can see how he can damage him, don't get me wrong, you know, his Fishman Karate is strong, but I don't see how that would be a good fight, because then Jinbei could never take a direct hit from this guy, not once. I mean, he took a direct hit, he'd be dead. So it would be a fight where Jinbei would literally just be running all over the body of this dude. So I think that he's going to need an opponent who fights on his level. And I don't support the idea of it being a team fight either, because I don't think Blackbeard's going to allow that. I don't think we're going to have the luxury of just being able to, you know, 10v1 San Juan Wolf and bring him down, like another callback to the Oars fight on Thriller Bark. At that stage of the story, we needed to do the team fight because we did not have the individual strength to take down Oars. But I think by the end of the series, we're going to need the individual strength to take down giants in 1v1 combat, you know. The crew, each crew member is going to need that. So I don't think we're going to be fighting them like that, because, you know, the other Blackbeard pirates are there and they're not liable to just allow us to fight San Juan Wolf. Obviously I can't, you know, say how it will show down. You know, maybe we will run into him on his own first, but I think that we're going to have Blackbeard going to have a full roster. He's not going to be down one before our final fight. So that's enough on that. It's 5 minutes long and I haven't really gotten to any part with Chopper. And in my opinion, Chopper is destined to fight San Juan Wolf, because I think that's where Oda is taking his development. From the very beginning, when we were first introduced to Chopper and his Rumble Ball, the concept of the Rumble Ball was that Chopper was using the Rumble Ball to alter the ratio of human to reindeer DNA in his own body, and it caused various effects and various new forms that most zones don't have. And obviously it had a time limit to it and whatnot. But in my opinion, think about it, and the way that Oda has developed it going forward, I think the significance of the Rumble Ball as a medical achievement is going to play an important role in why Chopper will be considered one of the top doctors in the world at the end of this series. Because if you really think about it, what is the Rumble Ball? Pre-time skip, it just affected his DNA in a way. Then we learned about Monster Point when he took 3 in quick succession. And then we learned about, post-time skip. Now he only needs 1 to go Monster Point. And the smaller forms don't need it at all. So the development of the Rumble Ball throughout the series seems to be taking it in the direction where it is slowly but surely being tied to his giant form Monster Point primarily. It's no longer tied to his points, his normal points. He's found a way to augment himself where he can do them without the Rumble Ball. But his giant form is still requiring that, and I think that's intentional. If you actually go to the SBS, Oda was asked to draw an answer as to what would happen when a normal human ate 3 Rumble Balls. And Oda's drawn answer, which was very comedic, was a small stick figure, which was a normal person, and then a super large one, which was a giant. I'm not talking about the 4 Rumble Ball joke picture with the Albert Einstein weird human face Chopper. I'm talking about the answer that he gave. I think it was in SBS volume 51. I'll have to confirm that, don't quote me on that. But basically, a fan asked him to draw an answer, and the answer was, a normal human eating 3 Rumble Balls gets you a giant. And I think that is really the key to what Rumble Ball really is. It is giantification. I think Chopper has unlocked, or is perfecting as we speak, true giantification. In other words, he is doing something that Caesar Clown cannot do. He's doing something that Vegapunk currently has not been able to accomplish. He's doing something that the top scientists in the world have been unable to find any true results in. And I think that's going to make Chopper pretty dangerous once it's discovered how he's doing this to the world government. And in my opinion, because he has giantification, that means it can be improved. I want to believe that the Rumble Balls were unlocking his awakening, but I don't believe that anymore. Because the more I think about it, it actually makes more sense that the Rumble Balls are the cause of his giant form. And that as he goes through the series and he improves his Rumble Ball, it will be his medical skills that will make him a bigger and more powerful threat in the Straw Hat crew. And I think that he will be, at some point in the series, capable of going as big as San Juan Wolf. Basically, Chopper is the giant that we can never have on board. He's going to represent that in the crew, because we want a giant in our crew. But the problem is, how do we get someone who's giant-sized on board the Sunny? It's not possible. And we're not going to replace the Sunny. I think everyone agrees that the Thousand Sunny is going to be the ship that sees us to the end of the series. If we had someone who could transform into a giant in the crew, I think that would be the closest we could have to an actual giant. And I think Chopper is going to be that person. So it's my matchup. Chopper versus San Juan Wolf. The significance of the Rumble Ball is really the difference here. It could be giantification that everyone else is trying to do, and that Chopper might have actually succeeded in producing a form of giantification. He may continue to improve that as the series goes on, and if he perfects it, he could actually be able to go San Juan Wolf sides. How amazing would it be? And before I go, just one more tidbit about the 2 characters. If you look at them, they seem to have a very similar personality. San Juan Wolf poked his head out from behind Marineford. He was very naive. He was expecting no one to see him, and yet he was seen. This reminds me of Chopper so much, when Chopper peeks his head out around the corner the completely wrong way, where most of his body is exposed, and of course he gets seen, because he doesn't realize that he's doing it wrong. There's a naive nature about the 2 characters, in my opinion, that Oda has set up as the way to connect the 2 characters. And I think it is obvious that these 2 characters are going to fight. So in my opinion, that is Chopper's end of series fight versus San Juan Wolf. He's going to be almost as big as him, if not just as big as him, and it's going to be a giant showdown. So what do you guys think? If you think that's too far-fetched, I guess I can see if you think it's too far-fetched, but I believe in this matchup, and I've always believed in this matchup. So that's going to be it. Just a small note, I'm not going to be doing another video in this series for a while, even though I've got all of my matchups made. I want to focus on another video. So the next video is going to be something unrelated to this series. I just wanted to get this series going. So that's it for today. This is Wasabifold signing out. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. All right, thank you guys for watching.